Did you know? Every week I release videos and content that you never see. Become a Red Pill member for exclusive access and take the Red Pill to the next level.
So here's a theory of mine on autism. You know, autistic kids are known for not being able to do like simple tasks. But I've never heard of an autistic child who has trouble eating. You know, autistic kids could have trouble tying their shoes. They could have trouble, putting on a t-shirt. They could have trouble, going to school and memorizing a bunch of useless information. Most of which, pretty much all that information is just regurgitating what some smart person 1,000 years ago came up with. It's pretty much all you do in school is memorize and regurgitate what other smart people came up with, so you can prove yourself good enough for the corporate standard. Sorry, but the educational system, the cover story is learning. The real purpose of schooling is behavioral training. The corporate fascist masters, the money masters, the ego freaks, the materialists, they realized that they needed to control the masses, to control young people, so they came up with the modern schooling system to hijack the independent individual minds of children at an early age. But they needed a cover story to do that, so they decided to call it learning. They decided to call it learning is a cover story, of course. It's a cover story for school. The real purpose of school is behavioral training to condition you to be a slave. But back to autistic children. I've never heard of I did research. I've never heard of an autistic child who has trouble eating. But a lot of them will have trouble with other simple tasks, like putting on a shirt or tying their shoes. But why is it that they can eat, but they can't put on a t-shirt? I mean, eating is actually a difficult, skill to learn. I don't know if you forgot, but, learning how to use a fork when you're like 2 years old, 3 years old is actually difficult. I don't know if you knew that. It requires, good motor skills, hand-eye coordination. Eating, getting a knife and fork and cutting, that's tough, man. And so they can manage that task, but they can't put on a t-shirt. And, autistic children are known for their ability to hyper-focus, right? They can hyper-focus on things. But what's happening is that they only hyper-focus on what they want to hyper-focus on. Jacob Barnett, for example, he was an autistic child they told him he would not be able to tie his shoes. They told him he wouldn't be able to speak. He was screwed for life, at the age of 2, 3. But he's actually an astro genius right now. He's surpassing Einstein, on his way to win a Nobel Peace Prize. Not Peace Prize, Nobel Prize in physics. He might disprove Einstein. He's been interviewed by 60 Minutes. He got into college at like the age of 9. He was teaching college students at the age of 12, something like that. He's a total genius, right? And so he could hyper-focus on anything he wanted to. When he was 2 or 3 years old, he'd be in the kitchen. He would dump cereal boxes out onto the floor, and he would play with the Cheerios on the kitchen floor. And the parents were like, what are you doing? They couldn't get him to stop. He had to do that. And they're like, why are you doing this? And they're like, stop doing that. Why can't you go focus on your schoolwork? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do what normal people do? And they didn't understand. Why could he hyper-focus on random eating crap on the floor, just rearranging Cheerios, but he couldn't focus on his little fucking kindergarten 2 + 2 = 5? Well, it turns fucking out that what he was doing at the age of 2 or 3 on the kitchen floor with Cheerios was that he was using the Cheerios at his own, child level to as writing out formulas on the floor. He would create his own type of formulas using his own child language on the kitchen floor. He was trying to actualize ideas about the universe. And ultimately, he would come up with theories that Einstein and Newton had failed, and he was actually on his way to, proving something essential about the nature of like ellipticals and orbits of planets and shit like that. So what you see, no one in their right mind could say that Jacob Barnett playing with Cheerios on the floor was wasting his time. If the point of school is to create geniuses, supposedly, to promote intellectual discovery and progress, then the school was getting in the way of Jacob's intellect. So autistic children, I would say, are actually children who are just 100% resistant to the pressure to conform. Autistic children don't have a problem. Autistic children aren't inept. They are just 100% resistant to the pressure to conform. The pressure to conform to society's little cultural standards. Like, come watch cartoons, little Jimmy. You know, nothing distracts an autistic child from what they want to do. And because we live in a society where we think that there are things you're supposed to do, people to do things they don't want to do, when we see an autistic child who's not even interested in, tying his shoes or even talking to people, we assume he's got a problem, right? But what if he's just busy plotting astrophysics? What if an autistic child, that's the thing, the pressure to conform is so huge. God forbid the child doesn't start talking by age 4. He gets into pre-K and first grade, kindergarten, age 5 or 6. Well, God forbid he, isn't getting good grades, right? God forbid he's too busy plotting astrophysics, proving Einstein wrong, or enhancing Einstein's theory, that he doesn't fucking, he can't fucking read, Shakespeare, at later years in school and get a fucking letter grade to prove to a corporation he's worthy of employment, even though the Shakespearean stuff that he read has nothing to do with employment, but supposedly the point of school is to fucking learn. Of course, again, like I said earlier, learning is the cover story. The true purpose of schooling is behavioral training. Conform, obedience, do what you're told. You're not an individual. You're just a collective. Wear your uniform, which destroys individuality. You're like everybody else. You're all equal. You're nothing. You're just another fucking equivalent being dumped out by the system, being shifted through from cell block to cell block at the sound of a bell. Pavlovian training shit. Pavlovian dog training. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure, I haven't done, fucking 1,000 years worth of research, but I'm pretty convinced at this point that autistic children are not retarded. They're not inept. They don't have a problem. They only have a problem in relation to a society that has these rigid, mass-produced standards for what is and is not good and what is and is not smart and what is and is not normal. And in our society, the mass monopolized schooling system dictates that normal is, can you regurgitate some smart person from 1,000 years ago? Can you regurgitate and memorize their discoveries, which, by the way, they didn't learn inside a classroom. They learned inside their minds, because all intellectual discoveries originate in the mind, not in a textbook. They originate in the mind and then are written down in textbooks for later generations in the schooling system to memorize and regurgitate. So, and it's pretty scary when you think about the implications of this. When you really think about the implications of what if autism isn't a problem? Okay? What if autism isn't a problem? What if autism is just a hyper-focused state and the child is just 100% resistant to conformity? Well, fuck, those are pretty good qualities, because, you see in the school system, thanks to my older brother Leo for eloquently pointing this out. He's an ex-math teacher. He quit the system when he realized how just demonic it was. But he pointed out that what school's about is about well-roundedness. That was always a justification for learning a bunch of different subjects you don't like. Oh, we got to be well-rounded. Okay, fine, but why would you want to be well-rounded? When you get out of school and you go into work, you don't go work in something well-rounded. People want you to specialize. NASA physicists don't spend 50% of their time reading Shakespeare or studying Shakespeare. They might if they liked it, but for the most part, what they do is they master math, and they are awesome at math. They excel at math. That's what they do. That's what they live. They eat, sleep, and breathe relevant mathematical stuff relating to their jobs at fucking NASA. I know there's different things other than math at NASA, but you get the point. So in the mass monopolized schooling system, what's smart is, can you become well-rounded? Basically, well-rounded to me basically just means diluted. You kind of like, hey, you have like a little vague knowledge of everything. You're watered down. And what is an autistic child? What is Jacob Barnett? He's hyper-focused. He's a master at what he does. And of course, when you hyper-focus on something that you love, that you're actually passionate about, you are it fills you with life. What you're hyper-focused on fills you with life. It is your enthusiasm. It is your motivation. It is your curiosity. It is your passion. For fuck's sake, why you don't have to go eat. You don't have to go overeat food. Because you're not trying to fill your soul with food because you've been detached from what you really enjoy in life by the monopolized evil school system. Instead, you're doing what you love, and that fills you, and then you don't have to go emotionally eat. I mean, the implications for how this affects society is huge. It's not just emotional eating. It's also people who take prescription drugs because they're depressed. Why do you think they're depressed? Because they're not walking their true purpose in life. They're not following their true path because it was ripped out of them through the school system at an early age. How often have kids wanted to do this or that, and the parents are concerned that the kid might spend too much time doing some irrelevant shit, like, I don't know, playing with Cheerios on the floor, proving Einstein wrong at the age of 2 or 3, like Jacob Barnett did. So parents are concerned their children might not be, living up to the standards of the school system. So the parent pulls the child out of whatever their individual blank slate of a mind, at a young age path was, and says, get into the fucking school system, this meat grinder factory, get on the conveyor belt, and shut that fucking divine part of your fresh mind off. You need to conform to the corporate standard. That's just what school is. It's just workforce training. It's corporate training. It's designed to get you to conform. I mean, that's all the elements in school is conformity when you think about it. Conform to this standard, conform to that standard. You got to do this. You got to obey your teacher. You got to follow orders. You can't do anything without asking for permission. Wear your uniform. I mean, I went over it all already. So really, it's what it's all about. That's what school exists for. And this idea that autistic children have a problem, they only have a problem in relation to a society and a monopolized schooling system that has a monopoly on what is and is not normal, what is and is not smart, what is and is not success. And I hate to say it, but school is not about fostering intellectual progress. School is an evil factory system with learning as a cover story that's funded and imposed by government/corporate powers who work together to breed young people into subservience and a life of passive, not even passive aggressive, just a life of quiet desperation, where you don't really enjoy what you're doing. You're just kind of going along with the system. It's an evil system. You have to reclaim your humanity. You can do it, but it begins with you. It begins with realizing that you do have a special purpose in this world. I don't give a fuck how fucking cliched that sounds. It's cliched for a reason. All right, I'm tired of, what's cliche? People calling things cliche is fucking cliche. Things become cliche because they have some fucking legitimacy to them, okay? You have a special purpose in this world. 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 You do not just have to go conform and do a bunch of math problems or read a bunch of fucking Shakespeare or learn a bunch of fucking history you have no interest in. You are free. You are expected to. You should do what you really want to do. And I know it's a tragedy. I know it's a shame that you have been put into a situation where you were robbed of your individual trajectory towards greatness at an early age. You were robbed of it because your parents thought it was a good idea to put you in school. Your parents thought it was a good idea to distract you from what you were passionate about, to get you to dilute your fucking passions, to care more about fucking cartoons and Big Bird and Sesame Street and fucking trips to Disney more than anything else. It's a fucking tragedy. But guess what? Here you are. You're in control. You can make choices. You're fucking hearing my voice. All right, you can do this. Even if you don't fucking pursue your actual destiny, even if you fail, at least you learn something about yourself. And at least if you have kids one day, you can help foster their own individual trajectory towards greatness. I just become more and more convinced that, people are special. People are special. People are special. People are fucking special. We are special. We're special beings. We're alive. Here we are. It's an amazing experience. We're special. But there are people in this world who, through their own sense of inferiority, have created these systems, the schooling systems, these giant corporations that are so obsessed with green pieces of paper that, they have nothing else. They're nothing. These people who run these corporations, the people in control of government, a lot of these people are just empty. They're nothing inside. They have no passion. Their only passion is, can I accumulate more green pieces of paper to give myself a false sense of excitement in this life? They're running scared. They're cowards, actually. They're fucking afraid. They're dead scared. Without their false sense of power, without their green pieces of paper they can't take with them into the fucking grave when they die, they feel like they're nothing. And these people are the same ones creating this gigantic psychotic system of vacuous, just internal emptiness. They are internally empty, so they scramble to just for power and money. They want to fill themselves with power and money. And because power and money requires competition, you got these giant corporations competing for more power and money, and they realize, holy shit, we need people to fund our corporation. We need workers. We need fucking people who will keep buying our shit. So these corporations, they fund modern schooling to turn you into a mindless, empty person who just seeks money and power too. So you go work for their giant money power machine. And the cycle just this giant fucking this giant fucking just mechanistic fucking machine, just fucking spins from the top down. Starts at the top with the corporations funding school, encouraging school, telling everybody through commercials and public service ads that are funded through the government, which is in bed with the corporations, that school is good for you. And then everybody at home through their fucking televisions, watching TV, brainwashed. Oh my God, school's a good thing. I should put my kid in school because if not, he won't get a job working for these evil giant corporations. And the message filters down from the top. When it comes back down to everybody down here at their homes, at home in your living room with your television, through government propaganda, local politicians, basically the local spokesman for the evil corporate government fascist mafia. And then everybody at the bottom they get brainwashed into this empty power money cycle, and they get sucked up, and they get sucked in the machine. Parents are putting their kids in school, and the kids are taught to compete. They taught that they want, you have to go to school. You have to do things you don't want to do because, you got to you got to get good grades so you can get into college. You get into college, you can get a job so you can make money, so you can buy a bunch of shit you don't need, so you can fucking retire. And then when you're fucking 65 and you're retired, you're like, wow, I just worked my whole life doing something I hate. My dick no longer works. I'm fucking crippled. I have nowhere to go. I'm fucking lonely. What the fuck did I do that for? And then before you could even fucking question it, you're dead. You have a heart attack and fucking die choking on your fucking floor. This is the evil system, ladies and gentlemen. It's an evil, psychotic cycle. Evil, psychotic cycle. And I believe that we are born precious, amazing beings, and possibly even spiritual beings. And that the system wants you to murder your soul, murder your mind, murder your soul. It wants you to give it up. An ideal world, heaven on earth, is possible. But this psychotic thing here has to die. It has to end. It has to end. And it begins with you. It begins with you. It begins by reclaiming your individuality, reclaiming your passion, reclaiming what you care about, doing your best to pull your support from the system. Yeah.